Dude, I'm a gangster, a straight up G. AI is never gonna replace me. You just got paid $3,000 for a headline for a landing page I can create in 3 seconds. That AI thing, it's just a fad. So was the internet, ha 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 ha, but you still watch midget porn? Midget porn? Come on, bro, that was just one video. I have detected numerous tabs with midget porn open. Do you have anything in robot bitches with big fat metal booties? What is up, internet motherfuckers? Today we're talking agencies plus AI. This is one of those things that is going to be, I believe, the biggest opportunity of our lifetime. And I think most people are going to realize it too late. I was around when actually in the beginning, early days of the internet, people sold websites for $100,000 and had a line of people waiting to pay them because there just weren't that many people who could make websites. I feel like we're in that kind of gold rush right now, and most people are still acting like it's 5 years ago and are selling services that frankly won't exist in 2 to 5 years. And so I want to show you guys in this video what's coming and how to stay ahead of the curve and some different models you can do to kind of adapt in advance. For those of you guys who don't know me already, my name is Frankie Finn. I wrote these 2 best-selling books, Passive Automated Recurring Income, Beyond the Agency Box. I built 3 of my own agencies up to 100 plus clients, and I've helped thousands of people like you out there to live this more beach, less laptop lifestyle. Let's get into it. All right. AI is here now, not as a future tension. I just want to make some points of some things that are happening already, not as some futuristic thing. One of the things is Tesla, at the time of recording this, just actually had a car they released that drove home from the production line, meaning no car, no driver, no set of instructions, completely automated, again, from the production line using AI. The number 3 video right now on YouTube is an AI-generated video from VO3, which some of you guys are out there are using. There is a band, I believe they're called like something like Sunset Revolver or something like that, and they have 500,000 subscribers on the old Spotify. They don't fucking exist. And a Chinese influencer, by the way, just made $7.9 million running a live stream that was entirely a digital version of himself. He programmed it to answer all the questions and things like that, hit go, and made almost $8 million in sales. Again, completely AI based. There's an Instagram influencer, I believe her name is Aina, don't quote me on the name, I'm going off of memory, but she was created because a company was sick and tired of having to deal with these crazy ass Instagram influencers, decided to create their own AI version. She is now making $12,000 per month in recurring brand sponsorships. She doesn't fucking exist. By the way, just as a little aside, business model, those of you guys who want to create models and sell feet pictures on OnlyFans, I know one of you guys out there is going to make $1 million a year doing that. Lastly, I saw a robot, by the way. People think, oh, the skilled trades are all safe from this. I saw a robot, by the way, that lays fucking tiles. Again, doesn't require an hourly wage, shows up on time, doesn't bitch, doesn't moan, does what they say they're going to do when they do it. And again, it was just as good as any human that's ever done it. So these are things that are already happening now. So if this doesn't bake your noodle, like it should feel like this.
Old Toby, the finest weed in the South Valley.
So what does this mean for you as an agency? I've been around this game almost 20 years now, and I've seen a lot of shit come and go. And I think back in the day, there was a guy I hired to build a landing page. When I say build a landing page, I don't mean graphics, I don't mean design. I just mean integrating it so that when somebody filled out the form, that it actually added that person to my email list. I paid him a few $100s. Don't quote me on the exact amount. It's been almost 2 decades. And it was really, really hard to do. Now today, there's like, I don't know, dozens of landing page builders and things like that, and you would never pay somebody $300-400 to just set up the tech side of things. In other words, those people don't exist. For those of you guys that are super young, you may not remember a thing called the Yellow Pages, but before Google, we used to have a big old book that had a directory of all the local businesses, and we would look them up in a physical book, and it was ordered by like categories and things like that. You'd look up the pizza places and you'd pick on the different ads and you would make a decision who you were going to use. And right now, today, okay, We have the capacity inside of our Wolfpack Mastermind. I have a master prompt creator, and then we stick it in a tool that creates websites. And in about 2 minutes, I can go from non-existent website to completely finished, fully functional website right now, today, not as a future thing. So I actually talked about this on Reddit, and some people said, well, I can sell websites for $10,000, and I'm still selling them today, ha, ha, ha. And yeah, okay, certainly you're going to be able to sell them today, but the runway, the ability to do that in 5 years, I promise you, nobody's going to pay you $10K in 5 years to generate something that you can do, they can do themselves with a prompt that comes out better and easier, and they don't have to deal with you. So I kind of looked at them like this.
Prosecutor, why you think you done it?
Okay, number one, Your Honor. Just look at him.
He talks like a fag, too.
So above all, what we want to do is stay ahead of this curve. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that are happening right now. One of the things, and this is something we're very big on, is I believe this has created a monumental opportunity to build and create and customize tools that work for business partners. And the beauty of this is that tools can be rented for payments that don't require you to fulfill on anything. So the more you create tools, the better you're going to be. Another thing that's happening right now is the old CMO is like having less actual clients, but having a bigger share of their business. So I think of my good friend Dan, who runs an agency where he only works with a small handful of roofers. They're usually $100 million roofers and up, and he gets a share of all the business he generates. And he really is doing the same sort of SEO that other people are doing, but instead of doing it for like $2K a month, as many people would do it for a roofer, he's doing it for like $200K a month, and he has a share in all the business he creates, and he's let go that idea of having a guaranteed paycheck. Now, this stuff is coming on fast, and you have to be ready for it. It's kind of like this.
Once there was a girl who wanted
He can't even read.
to
Cut it out, dude. You're gonna get us in trouble.
Today, Junior?
So I don't want this to sound like doom and gloom, end of the world, because I actually believe that this is going to be one of the biggest opportunities of our lifetime. And one of the things that's going to happen for sure is that this is going to move in consulting. I was talking to a good friend in our mastermind, Dave. Dave, if you're watching, shout out to you. And Dave was talking about that he has been making software for 30 years, and he got into the game when there were no tools. There was no CRM, there was no Salesforce and HubSpot and things like that. And what happened is there was this gold rush to create software. And he said what ended up happening is it created a new problem that eventually, after 10 years, every kind of software that a business would need existed for at least the staples and the basics kind of thing. And yet they still didn't know what to do. They would say, well, which tool should I use? How do I install it? How do we get it set up? How do we use this? And he said what happened is he went from being a software guy who was making software to a guy who was consulting. In other words, showing people this is the tool you need, this is how you set it up, and this is how you stitch it together to accomplish what you're doing. So I want you guys to understand that just because AI is doing tasks faster doesn't automatically mean that businesses are going to know what to do, right? In fact, many times all that happens is one problem solved and business creates another. And this is endless. You guys see this when you're running an agency. When you first start out, you don't have any clients. So that's really the only problem you're trying to solve. And then eventually you get clients, and then now you got to figure out consistent fulfillment. And if you get good at both of those things, then eventually you have to figure out hiring. And if you get really good at that, you have to figure out managing. So the problems are simply shifting. I want you guys to understand that. A lot of people look at this as doom and gloom, but I look at this as the same way as when the internet first came on and you could sell $100,000 websites. Now there's 10,000 people who will make websites cheap, and it's, you can still sell $100,000 websites, but man, it's a fuck of a lot harder when you got 10,000 competitors than it is, when you in the early days. And so you want to be the person who guides people through this, because what's going to happen is they're going to look at these tools and they're going to be, this is how confused they're going to feel.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Which leads me to the last piece, which is what I would call agents and software, is where you simply, and there's a lot of probably overlap between software and tools, but the difference between these in my mind is the level of you do this, right? So we have folks, for example, who are using Go High Level software, and what they'll do is they'll follow up with unconverted leads, and then some of those leads will ask a question, and then they have an AI tool like a close bot or something like that that engages people in a conversation and then books them on the calendar and then sends notifications. And what they're doing is they're really managing the appointment booking software entirely as an AI agent solution. So I wanted to show you guys these because this is where at least some of it is headed. I don't have a crystal ball, but I promise you that in 2 to 5 years, and probably less, the way most agencies operate is simply not going to exist. Both Google and Facebook are moving to the point where just give me your credit card and we'll decide who sees what ads, and we'll come up with the ads and the creatives and all those things. So like the idea that you're still going to be 5 years from now selling Google pay-per-click for $10K a month is going to be rarer and rarer. Websites are going away. We got friends, for example, that are using Search Atlas, where they can click a website and then fully SEO optimize the entire website at a click. We have people who can do the same thing with off-page and generate press releases and things like that. So the idea that like somebody's still going to pay you $3K a month for something that they can do at the click of a button, but that doesn't mean it's going anywhere. It just means there's a new massive opportunity in these things, is that they're going to need help with tools that actually assist them with little micro tasks. They're going to need help navigating the space and how do I use this. They're going to need help, get a bigger share of my business because I don't understand any of this stuff. Or you're going to build like multi-chain applications and agents and software. But what you're not going to be doing is selling traditional services the way everybody else is doing it. By the way, this is one of those things I've really only heard people talk about a small number of places. One of those places being our Wolfpack Mastermind, which is kind of like this. That's right, don't be a fag. By the way, shout out to our man Samuel L. Jackson for the gratuitous use of motherfucker in this video. So I want you to understand, like these realities, I know this, I'm painting this as some like futuristic thing, but these realities are happening now. Tesla is sending cars. There's people with 500,000 followers who don't exist. There's people getting brand sponsorships that don't exist. The third-ranked YouTube video this week is entirely fucking made up. There's Chinese influencers doing millions and millions of dollars, and there's people even working on the trade kind of things that are some of the things people thought were the safest. So all that's going to mean is that this whole new thing is going to emerge, and most of the people are going to have a big question mark going, how do I use this? How do I make sense of this? And so the more you understand that that's where it's headed, you can be ahead of this curve and behind it. You can be the person who gets paid $100,000 to set up tools or builds your own agents or builds your own software. In fact, we're actually working on some applications right now where we're coding our own software. I wanted to make software for like 20 years, but I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't have a good team of people and so forth. But now there's tools like Windsurf and Bolt and several other ones, and Claude. I say Claude. I got a French-Canadian hockey buddy. Shout out to Claude if you're watching, by the way. But we can make software by just describing what we're trying to create. And so this is where a lot of this stuff is headed. And why I want to show this to you guys is, if I can't express this enough, be ahead of the curve. Don't be behind this. That's all I really have to say in this. Be ahead of the curve. Don't be behind this. So that's all I got for you guys in this video. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe just for the golden dad guns and the corny jokes. Buy my book, or I will Photoshop your face on Gary Vee running mid-sprint and say, you just gotta want it more.